Stop. Right now. Put down whatever you're holding. Are you tired of feeling like God has put you on silent mode? Like your prayers are bouncing off heaven's ceiling? Like you're screaming into a cosmic void that doesn't even echo back? Here's what nobody wants to tell you. You weren't forgotten. You were being prepared. If you're hearing my voice right now, it's no accident. You didn't stumble onto this message. Heaven intercepted your scroll of despair and rewrote the final chapter. The algorithm didn't bring you here, angels did. You're not just watching a video, you're stepping onto holy ground. Moses took off his sandals. What are you willing to remove? Your doubt? Your resignation? Your belief that it's too late? Here's the shocking truth they don't teach in Sunday school. God's biggest miracles happen in his smallest windows. When you think the door is closing, he's actually opening the floodgates. Have you felt forgotten, even by God? Like he's blessing everyone around you while you're stuck in spiritual quicksand? That feeling? That's not abandonment. That's preparation for acceleration. This message will not just stir your spirit, it will reset your trajectory. In the next few minutes, something inside you is going to shift. The broken compass in your soul is about to find true north again. If this already resonates with your soul, I need you to type Amen in the comments right now. Declare that you're still listening, you're still believing. Because what I'm about to share will shatter every limitation you've accepted as permanent. And thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel forgotten in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your time, your attention, your faith, it all matters. Your breakthrough didn't get lost in transit. It's been rerouted, and it's arriving today. Have you ever wondered if God's GPS is broken, like he's navigating everyone else to their promised land, while you're stuck in some cosmic traffic jam that never ends? Have you ever felt so invisible that you questioned whether your own prayers have your correct mailing address? Listen to me, chosen one. I know exactly where you are right now. You're in the valley of forgotten ones. It's that desolate place where dreams go to die, where hope gets buried under years of not yet, and maybe someday. You've been living there so long, you've started decorating the walls with your disappointments. But here's what you don't realize. Every giant of faith has walked through this exact valley. Every prophet, every king, every world changer has felt the crushing weight of divine silence. You think you're alone, but you're actually in the most exclusive company in heaven's history. Let me take you to a pit in Dothan, where a 17-year-old boy named Joseph lay bleeding and broken. His own brothers, his own flesh and blood, had just sold him for 20 pieces of silver. As he watched those camel caravans disappear into the Egyptian horizon, do you think Joseph felt chosen? Do you think he felt favored? Or do you think he felt forgotten? 13 years. 13 long years of slavery, false accusations, and prison walls. 13 years of wondering if those dreams were just teenage fantasies. 13 years in the valley of forgotten ones. But God wasn't silent. God was surgical. Every betrayal was positioning Joseph for palace promotion. Every prison was preparing him for Pharaoh's court. You see, what looks like abandonment to human eyes is actually acceleration in heaven's timeline. Joseph didn't know it, but every single day in that valley was moving him closer to saving nations from famine. Every tear he cried was watering the ground for his future harvest. Now let me take you to another valley, Mount Horeb. The great prophet Elijah sits under a broom tree, praying for death. This is the same man who called down fire from heaven, who outran chariots, who stood against 850 false prophets. But Jezebel's death threat sent him spiraling into the deepest depression of his life. "I have been very zealous for the Lord," he cried. "I alone am left." Have you ever felt that isolated, that abandoned? Like you're the only one still fighting while everyone else has thrown in the towel? Elijah thought he was the last faithful person on earth. But God whispered, I have 7,000 who have not bowed the knee. Elijah wasn't alone. He was just in the valley where perspective gets distorted and feelings become facts. And then there's her, 12 years of bleeding. 12 years of being untouchable, unmarriageable, unemployable. The woman with the issue of blood had spent everything she had on doctors who couldn't heal her condition. She was broke, broken, and barren of hope. Society had written her off. Religion had cast her out. But something inside her whispered, "If I can just touch the hem of his garment." She pushed through a crowd that would have stoned her for being there. She risked everything for one desperate touch. And in that moment, 12 years of valley living was instantly transformed into a testimony that would echo through eternity. Do you see the pattern? The valley isn't your punishment, it's your preparation. You've been living like a seed buried in dark soil, not knowing that resurrection is already on heaven's calendar. Every seed looks dead before it springs to life. Every butterfly looks lifeless in its cocoon before it emerges with wings. You're not cursed, beloved. You're cocooned. God hasn't forgotten your address. He hasn't lost your file. He's been orchestrating every single detail of your valley experience to produce something in you that can only be forged in the furnace of waiting. Character can't be microwaved. Anointing can't be downloaded. Destiny can't be rushed. Right now, in your valley, God is doing surgery on your soul. He's removing the need for human approval. He's extracting the fear of failure. He's transplanting unshakable faith where anxiety used to live. This process looks like delay to you, but it's actually divine development. I need you to understand something that will change everything. Your valley isn't evidence that God doesn't see you. Your valley is proof that God trusts you. He doesn't put his premium assignments in amateur hands. The greater the calling, the deeper the valley. The bigger the destiny, the longer the development. Joseph became a prime minister because his valley taught him forgiveness. Elijah heard God's still small voice because his valley taught him to listen past the noise. The bleeding woman became a walking miracle because her valley taught her that breakthrough sometimes requires breaking protocol. Your valley is writing your victory story. Every setback is setting you up. Every closed door is redirecting you toward the right door. Every no is protecting you from wrong opportunities. Every delay is developing patience that will sustain you when your blessing arrives. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. You're not stuck in this valley forever. There's an expiration date on your exile. There's a graduation date from your valley university. And if you can hear my voice right now, it means you're closer to your breakthrough than you've ever been. The very fact that you're still seeking, still believing, still hoping after everything you've been through, that's not human resilience. That's divine resilience flowing through you. That's the Holy Spirit refusing to let you quit. That's heaven saying, hold on, your miracle is being processed. If you've ever asked God, where are you? I want you to keep watching, because I'm about to show you exactly where he's been and exactly where he's taking you next. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. God didn't abandon you in that dark season. He enrolled you. He enrolled you in the most exclusive academy in the universe, the School of Divine Preparation. You think you've been wandering aimlessly. You've been walking through heaven's boot camp. Every tear you've cried, every sleepless night you've endured, every moment you felt like giving up that wasn't punishment, that was preparation. The wilderness isn't where God lost you. It's where he forged you. Think about this. Why did God lead the Israelites through the wilderness for 40 years when the journey to the promised land should have taken 11 days? 11 days. They could have walked there in less than 2 weeks. But God had a different plan. He had a deeper purpose. Deuteronomy 8:2 reveals the shocking truth. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you, to know what was in your heart. To know what was in your heart. God wasn't testing them to find out something he didn't already know. He was revealing to them what was inside them. He was showing them their own strength, their own resilience, their own capacity to trust him when everything looked impossible. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. You've been asking God, why this trial? Why this pain? Why this endless waiting? Here's the answer that will revolutionize your perspective. He's not testing your faith to break it. He's testing it to prove it. Every giant you faced in your wilderness, depression, financial struggle, broken relationships, health crises, they weren't sent to destroy you. They were assigned to develop you, to reveal the warrior that was always sleeping inside your spirit. Delay is not denial. It's divine development. You think you're falling behind. You're being fast-tracked. While others get the easy path, you're getting the accelerated program, the express lane to spiritual maturity, the VIP treatment for future generals in God's army. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him to deliver Israel. David spent years running from Saul in caves before he became king. Joseph spent years in prison before he became prime minister of Egypt. Jesus himself spent 40 days in the wilderness before he launched his ministry. The wilderness is not your punishment, it's your promotion preparation. But here's what breaks my heart. So many of you are one step away from your breakthrough, and you're considering quitting. You're thinking about walking away from the very promise God is about to deliver. The enemy knows your breakthrough is imminent, so he's turning up the heat, hoping you'll abandon ship right before you reach the shore. Don't you dare quit on God when he hasn't quit on you. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still hoping, still listening to this message, that's not coincidence, that's covenant. That's God's promise working in your life, even when you can't feel it. You want to know why you've survived everything that should have destroyed you? Because you're not just anyone, you're chosen. You have an assignment that hell itself cannot cancel. You have a purpose so significant that the enemy has assigned his best demons to try to stop you. But let me tell you something that will shake the very foundations of your doubt. Every attack against you is actually advertising your importance. The bigger the battle, the bigger the blessing that's coming. The fiercer the opposition, the more significant your assignment. The longer the delay, the greater the delivery. Your wilderness season is almost over. I can sense it in the spirit. The wind is changing direction. The atmosphere is shifting. The same God who brought water from a rock, manna from heaven, and made shoes that didn't wear out for 40 years, that same God is about to do something unprecedented in your life. Your comeback is going to be louder than your setback. But you have to keep standing. You have to keep believing. You have to keep moving forward even when you can't see the path clearly. Right now, I need you to do something. If you're still standing after everything you've been through, if you haven't given up, if you haven't thrown in the towel, if there's still fight left in your spirit, I need you to comment, "I'm still standing." That's your spiritual flex. That's your faith roar. That's you telling hell that it picked the wrong person to mess with. That's you declaring that God's plan for your life is stronger than every scheme of the enemy. Because what's coming next is going to require everything the wilderness taught you. And you're about to find out why God insisted on taking you the long way around. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. You're standing at the most dangerous place in your spiritual journey. Not the valley of the shadow of death. Not the wilderness of confusion. You're standing at the breaking point. That razor-thin line between giving up and breaking through. This is where most people quit. This is where miracles are born. You almost gave up yesterday, didn't you? The weight pressed down so hard you could barely breathe. You whispered to yourself, "Maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I heard God wrong." But what if the miracle was scheduled for today? What if your breakthrough was literally 24 hours away and you're about to walk away from your destiny? The children of Israel walked around Jericho 6 times, 6 times of nothing, 6 times of looking foolish, 6 times of wondering if they heard God correctly. The walls stood firm. The enemy mocked. Logic screamed, "This isn't working." But on the 7th lap, the breaking point lap, everything changed. The walls didn't crack. They didn't crumble, they collapsed. Here's what breaks my heart. Most people quit on lap 6. They get to the edge of their miracle and turn around. They walk away from walls that were about to fall because they couldn't see the cracks forming in the spirit realm. Where are you right now? Lap 4? Lap 6? Let me tell you about Elijah on Mount Carmel. The prophet of fire who called down heaven's power was on his knees begging for rain. He sent his servant to look toward the sea 6 times. Is there anything? 6 times the answer came back. Nothing. The drought continued. The mockery intensified. The pressure mounted. But Elijah didn't quit. He prayed a 7th time. And his servant came running back with these words. There's a cloud rising from the sea, small as a man's hand. That tiny cloud unleashed a downpour that ended 3.5 years of drought. Your tiny cloud is rising right now. You can't see it yet, but it's there. That small shift in your circumstances. That unexpected phone call, that sudden peace in your spirit. Don't despise the day of small beginnings, because your tsunami of blessing starts with a cloud the size of a man's hand. But here's where I need to get real with you. The woman with the issue of blood, she fought through a crowd for 12 years of suffering, 12 years of isolation, 12 years of spending everything she had on doctors who couldn't help her. She was at her breaking point when she heard Jesus was passing by. Think about this. She was ceremonially unclean. Touching anyone made them unclean. She was breaking religious law. She was risking public humiliation. She was down to her last ounce of faith. But she pressed through that crowd anyway. She touched the hem of his garment, and everything changed. The bleeding stopped immediately. 12 years of torment ended in one touch. But here's what most people miss. She had to press through when she was weakest. She had to fight through when she had nothing left. She touched the hem at her breaking point. Breakthroughs don't announce themselves. They come disguised as your last ounce of faith. You're thinking, but I've tried everything. I've prayed, I've fasted, I've believed, I've declared, I've stood on every promise in the Bible. And still nothing has changed. Still the bills pile up. Still the relationship is broken. Still the diagnosis remains. Still the door stays closed. But what if your breakthrough is testing your commitment? What if God is waiting to see if you'll press through when it makes no sense? What if your miracle is wrapped in one more prayer, one more step, one more touch of faith? What if you're literally inches away from your Red Sea parting and you're talking yourself out of taking the next step? Pause right now. I mean it. Pause right now. Speak this aloud. I will not quit. I will touch the hem. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your breakthrough depends on it. Because it does. Your words are activating your spiritual warfare. Your declaration is moving heaven. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. You're closer than you've ever been. That's why the attack has intensified. That's why the doubt is louder. That's why the pressure feels unbearable. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. The walls of Jericho didn't fall on the first lap because God was building suspense. They fell on the 7th lap because breakthrough requires endurance. Your miracle isn't late, it's precisely on time. So let me ask you this. Are you going to let lap 6 define you, or are you going to walk lap 7 with supernatural expectation? Are you going to turn back now, or are you going to press through the crowd and touch the hem? Because I'm about to show you exactly what happens when chosen ones refuse to quit at their breaking point. You know what breaks my heart? It's the emails I get at 3 a.m. 78-year-old Margaret writes, Pastor, I've been praying for 60 years. Does God even remember my name? 82-year-old Robert confesses, I feel like I've been shelved by heaven. Dear precious soul, if that's you right now, I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. You have not been forgotten. The enemy's greatest lie is that God has selective memory, that somehow, in the vastness of eternity, you slipped through the cracks, that your pain is too small, your story too ordinary, your mistakes too many for the Almighty to notice. But here's what hell doesn't want you to know. God doesn't just remember you, you are literally engraved on his hands. Isaiah 49:16 declares, See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Not written, not tattooed. Engraved. Carved so deep that even if God wanted to forget you, he couldn't. Every time he opens his hands to bless, he sees your name. Every time he reaches out to heal, he sees your face. You think that cancer diagnosis caught God off guard. You believe that financial struggle surprised heaven. You imagine that loneliness in your golden years wasn't part of his plan. Stop right there. Romans 8:28 isn't just a pretty verse for coffee mugs. It's a divine guarantee. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. All things. Not just the victories. Not just the mountaintops. Every single heartbreak. Every sleepless night. Every tear you thought he didn't see. Your tears are not wasted water. They are ingredients in heaven's recipe for your comeback. I know you're thinking, but Pastor, I've wasted so many years. I'm too old for God to use me now. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver Israel. Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Age is not disqualification, it's preparation. You've been seasoned by suffering, refined by rejection, strengthened by setbacks. What you call too late, God calls right on time. But here's what's really happening that you can't see. You've been hidden, not forsaken. Delayed, not disqualified. While everyone else was getting their 15 minutes of fame, God was giving you decades of deep preparation. Think about wine. The best vintages aren't rushed to market. They're stored in dark cellars, away from the light, away from the noise, away from the crowd. Not because they're forgotten, but because they're becoming something extraordinary. You are God's vintage wine. Every year of waiting wasn't wasted. Every season of silence wasn't abandonment. You were aging to perfection in the cellars of heaven's timing. And now, when the world needs wisdom more than energy, experience more than enthusiasm, your moment has arrived. The young can run fast, but you know the way. The young have energy, but you have endurance. The young have dreams, but you have proven faith. God didn't forget you in your 20s. He was preparing you for your 70s. He didn't overlook you in your 30s. He was preparing you for your 80s. Every decade was a classroom. Every trial was a teacher. Every setback was a setup. You are not too old. You are just getting started. But I need to tell you something that might shock you. The reason you're hearing this message today isn't random. God has been orchestrating this divine appointment for months, maybe years. He's been moving pieces on the chessboard of your life, positioning you for this exact moment when your heart would be ready to receive this truth. Right now, as I speak these words, something is shifting in the spiritual realm. Doors that have been locked for decades are creaking open. Opportunities that seemed dead are stirring back to life. Dreams you buried are clawing their way out of the grave. Heaven is about to interrupt your ordinary with his extraordinary. Listen to me very carefully. What I'm about to tell you will shatter the lie you've been living for decades. You've been told your season is over, that your purpose expired with your retirement party, that God's plan for you ended when you turned 65, 70, or 80. That's the biggest deception Satan has whispered into this generation. The enemy wants you to believe you're a relic gathering dust on heaven's shelf. But I'm here to tell you something that will ignite your soul. God doesn't have expiration dates on his chosen ones. You think you missed your moment? You think your best years are behind you? Heaven is laughing at that lie right now. Abraham was 75 when God called him to leave everything. Moses was 80 when he faced Pharaoh. Sarah was 90 when she held Isaac. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your credential. But here's what breaks my heart. I see you every day, shuffling through life like you're waiting for heaven instead of walking in power. You've accepted the world's definition of over the hill when God sees you as over the moon with potential. Stop right there. Feel that stirring in your chest. That's not heartburn. That's the Holy Spirit refusing to let you settle for ordinary when you were born for extraordinary. You are God's echo in this generation, a trumpet wrapped in weathered skin. The world sees wrinkles, God sees wisdom. The world sees limitations, God sees a loaded weapon of faith ready to fire. You are Joseph. Yes, you, the one who endured decades of disappointment, betrayal, and setbacks. But remember what Joseph said to his brothers: "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Every heartbreak you've survived, every loss you've endured, every tear you've cried, God has been weaving it into your comeback story. You are Sarah, the one who laughed when God spoke the impossible. But Sarah's laughter turned into joy when Isaac arrived. Your season of barrenness, it's about to become your season of breakthrough. The womb of your purpose isn't dead, it's just been in divine incubation. You are Moses at the burning bush, but this time the bush isn't burning in front of you, it's burning in you. That fire in your bones that won't die, that restlessness in your spirit, that's God saying, "I'm not finished with you yet." Psalm 92:14 declares, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." Not were fresh, not used to be green. Will be, present tense, active tense, fruit-bearing tense. I prophesy over your body right now. Strength is returning to your bones. Clarity is flooding your mind. Energy is surging through your bloodstream. The years the locusts have eaten, God is restoring them double. But you have to stop acting like a victim of time and start moving like a victor over circumstances. The young generation is drowning in confusion, desperate for direction. They're looking for someone who's been through the fire and came out refined. They need your wisdom, they need your prayers, they need your story. That's why Satan wants you sidelined, because he knows one anointed senior can wreck his kingdom more than 1,000 uncommitted youth. You've got nothing to lose and everything to give. You're dangerous to darkness. Isaiah 46:4 says, "Even to your old age and grey hairs, I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." Did you catch that? I will sustain you, future tense. I will carry you, future tense. I will rescue you, future tense. God's not talking about what he used to do, he's declaring what he's about to do. You thought your best years were gone, but heaven is just getting started. Right now, I need you to declare this out loud, wherever you are. My purpose didn't retire, it's been refired. Say it again. My purpose didn't retire, it's been refired. Feel that shift. That's your spirit aligning with heaven's frequency. That's your soul remembering who you really are. The clock on your wall doesn't dictate the calendar in heaven. But here's the question that will determine everything. Will you rise to this moment, or will you let another year slip by in spiritual hibernation? You've heard the message, you've felt the stirring, but now comes the moment that separates the seekers from the settlers. The moment where you stop being a spectator and become a participant in your own miracle. Look around you right now. Look at the walls of your room, the chair you're sitting in, the life you've built with your own two hands. Now I want you to understand something that will rock you to your core. None of this is permanent, but your soul, your calling, your divine assignment, that's eternal. You've been trying to fix your life with band-aids when God wants to perform surgery. You've been painting over rust when he wants to rebuild from the foundation up, and deep down, you know it. That restlessness you feel, that's not discontent, that's your spirit demanding alignment. Here's what terrifies most people. True surrender means admitting you've been driving in the wrong direction. It means pulling over on the highway of your life and saying, "God, I don't know where I'm going anymore, but I trust you to navigate." Are you brave enough to admit you've been lost? Are you humble enough to let go of the wheel? The Israelites wandered for 40 years because they refused to fully surrender. 40 years of circles when they could have walked straight into promise. Don't let your pride cost you 4 decades of breakthrough. Don't let your fear of change keep you trapped in the wilderness of almost. Right now, I want you to close your eyes. not to escape reality, but to see beyond it. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves are crashing with the rhythm of God's heartbeat. Feel that salt air filling your lungs. That's the breath of the Almighty, the same breath that spoke galaxies into existence, filling you with fresh purpose. Now I want you to picture God's hands reaching toward you, not in judgment, but in invitation. These are the hands that formed you in your mother's womb, the hands that caught every tear you've cried, the hands that have been holding your future while you've been wrestling with your past. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Not temporary relief, rest. Soul deep, bone deep, spirit deep rest that comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong. Can you feel that wind picking up? That's not meteorology, that's theology. That's the same wind that parted the Red Sea, the same wind that filled the upper room on Pentecost, the same wind that's about to blow away every excuse you've been hiding behind. You see that light breaking through? That's not just sunrise, that's the dawn of your new chapter. The old you, the one who believed they were too broken, too late, too far gone, that version of you is about to be buried in the ocean of God's mercy. But here's the catch. You have to walk into the water. God won't force transformation on you. He's a gentleman. He knocks, but you have to open the door. He calls, but you have to answer. He extends his hand, but you have to reach back. Right now, in this sacred moment, I'm going to lead you in a prayer. Not a religious ritual, but a soul transaction. A divine exchange where you trade your plans for his promises, your timeline for his timing, your limitations for his limitless possibilities. Repeat after me, and mean it with every fiber of your being. God, I come to you not as I should be, but as I am. Broken, weary, confused, but still breathing, still believing, still hoping. I surrender my need to understand everything and choose to trust you with anything. I release my grip on what was and reach toward what could be. Make me new. Make me whole. Make me yours. Completely. Finally. Forever. If you prayed that prayer and meant it, if something inside you just shifted, if you feel that divine electricity coursing through your spirit, then type "I'm ready" in the comments right now. Declare to heaven and earth that you're saying yes to God again. This isn't just a comment. This is your covenant, your commitment, your comeback. Because what happens next will blow your mind. Listen to me, chosen one. You didn't survive 60, 70, 80 years of life to become a museum piece. You didn't endure decades of heartbreak, loss, and triumph just to sit in the corner of God's kingdom holding a reserved sign. You are not in retirement from your calling. Those gray hairs aren't surrender flags. Those lines around your eyes aren't defeat markers. They're battle scars from a warrior who's still standing when countless others have fallen. And God isn't done with you yet. The enemy has sold you the biggest lie of your generation, that your usefulness expires with your youth, that your voice loses power when your body loses strength, that your fire dims when your hair turns silver. That's not just wrong. That's blasphemy. Moses was 80 when he confronted Pharaoh. Abraham was 99 when God promised him nations. Sarah was 90 when she laughed at impossibility and gave birth to destiny. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Isaiah 61 declares something revolutionary about you. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. You're not a dying tree. You're an oak of righteousness, deeply rooted, impossibly strong, designed to shelter generations. But here's where it gets dangerous for the devil. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. You're not here to reminisce about the good old days. You're here to rebuild what's been broken, to restore what's been lost, to reconstruct what's been devastated. Every disappointment you've survived has given you wisdom that can't be Googled. Every betrayal you've overcome has forged trust muscles that can't be taught in seminars. Every loss you've endured has equipped you with comfort that can't be manufactured. Your wrinkles aren't signs of decay, they're rivers of wisdom, God's about to pour into a drought-stricken world. The teenagers around you are drowning in anxiety. The middle-aged are suffocating under pressure. The young parents are fracturing under stress. And you? You're standing there with decades of proof that God shows up, that prayers get answered, that what looks like the end is often just the setup for a comeback. You're not a spectator in God's kingdom. You're a storm chaser. When everyone else runs from the thunder, you run toward it because you've learned that God's voice is in the whirlwind. You're a healing carrier. Every scar you bear is medicine for someone else's wound. This isn't about what you used to do. This is about what you're about to do. God has been preparing you for 70 years for this exact moment in history. This generation needs what you carry. They need your prayers that have moved mountains. They need your faith that has weathered every storm. The devil is terrified of senior citizens who realize they're not retiring, they're redeploying. He's petrified of grandparents who stop playing it safe and start playing for keeps. He knows that when the older generation rises up with nothing left to lose, kingdoms shake. Your legacy isn't what you've done. Your legacy is what you do next. If this word awakened something deep in you, don't keep the fire to yourself. Share this video, post it, email it, light up someone else's wilderness. Because the world doesn't need another motivational speech. It needs an army of seasoned warriors who know that the best wine comes last. Your commission isn't complete. It's just getting started.